We are live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of Sales EU. I'm here with Martha and we're very pleased to welcome Martin Bredl today, who is going to join us and talk about the great topic of lead generation. And who doesn't want to hear about lead generation? That's the number one issue and complaint that you hear from businesses everywhere is more leads, more leads, more leads. Okay, so today we're going to talk about lead generation, and just to give a quick introduction to Martin. Martin has over 15 years. He was more than 15 years head of corporate communications at one of the largest telecommunications companies in Austria, and in 2001 he founded Takeoff PR, which is an inbound marketing agency located in Austria. He's also a lecturer at the WIFI in Vienna and at the University of Vienna. So obviously, Martin, a great background, and we're really excited to hear about lead generation and marketing. Welcome.
Hi. I'm so sorry, guys, that you don't see my handsome face. I've got problems with my camera. So if anybody who listens to us knows how to switch on the camera on the Lenovo X240, you are welcome. I tried everything. I changed the driver now and loaded the whole thing. My camera is not going on, but still, I'm so happy to be with you, and I'm so happy to discuss with you this subject of lead generation. It looks like for me, when I look back in my career, that lead generation now also here in Austria, it's a big thing. It's for us as an agency, it's really a door opener for clients. So it looks like for me, it was never ever this interest in lead generation like it is now, at least in our country, in our market.
Yeah, and I think that's certainly reflected everywhere here in the States and then globally as well. So let's dive right into our first question. So Martin, what would you say are the key components of a successful lead generation campaign?
I think, first of all, you need an audience, right?
And know your audience, right?
And know your audience. I think the first and most important question is really picture your audience, really understand your buyer personas. So I think you cannot start any lead generation project campaign not knowing your audience. So first of all, I think you have to build an audience. You have to build an audience. You have to form a platform where you can meet your audience. So technically spoken, you need visits when we speak about online lead generation. So you need visits, and not all visits are equal. So you need the best visits for your business. So the best visits for your business are your buyer personas. So you have to build a platform. In the moment, we all speak about content marketing. So you have to build a platform with the right content for your right audience. So this is, I think, the first step when we speak about lead generation.
Yeah. So Martin, just on that, so how often do you, when you work with companies or whatever, do you find that they don't have a good buyer persona defined, or they don't have a really good idea of who their target buyer really is? I mean, they may have a vague idea, but I come across that a lot, and it still surprises me to this day how many organizations either don't update or don't have a well-defined buyer persona.
Yeah, I don't know if it's all over Europe. In our market here in Austria, the whole buyer persona concept is quite new. Sure, marketing people have always been talking about targeting or segmenting their their market. But I think it's also because this whole concept of content marketing is new. out of 10, I think 9 clients we meet, we are the first people telling them there is this concept of buyer personas. So it's quite new here, but it's so important. It's so important because you need qualified traffic, you need qualified
Right.
visits. To get to the point where you get really good conversion rates.
Right. So tell us a little bit about email marketing, because a lot of people obviously that's the first thing they think about when they think about lead generation is email marketing campaigns. So how can email marketing support lead generation effectively?
When we speak about email marketing, also with our clients, we always have to make a step back
Hmm.
and discuss with them what kind of email addresses are you using there? Is this really qualified email addresses? Is this email addresses you should use for your lead generation campaign? And so I think it's when we speak about using emails, it's very important that we do not send emails to anybody who doesn't want our emails, and that's not easy. That's not easy to discuss with the clients, but on the long run, if you are not just out for one big shot on the long run, it's so important to have a good database, good emails, addresses with the right people. As we already said, it should be the email addresses of your buyer personas. It should be personal emails. It shouldn't be office emails. And when we discuss this with our clients, we always ask this question, and please show us your opening rates, show us your click
Right.
rates. And then when you look at this data, you immediately can see that if this is a good database, if this is a good email addresses. And then the next question we discuss with them: where do we get the right email addresses, and how can we build up our database with the right
Hmm.
email addresses? So and then again, it comes to this point where we say, okay, we have to use content
Right. Right.
to get the people in, or some other things. But many times, even with big companies here, we see that their database of email is poor. So it's a lot of office addresses. It's not
Right.
qualified. So the best they have is email addresses of their clients. Yeah. So this is good because I think there's also lead generation with existing clients because you want to upsell them. You want to do some
Right.
cross-selling, but it's not new leads. But when it comes down, how do we get new leads so we can lead nurture them with email addresses? Many times this discussion ends at the point where we say, okay, we have to do something to get them on our platform.
Right, right. And I guess I mean part of it is email marketing has become, obviously it's a lot more sophisticated than it used to be, but to some degrees its effectiveness, I think you're right, you have to be very, very targeted because its effectiveness is changing over time as the buyer becomes more sophisticated. And I think that's what we've seen is some transition from email marketing perhaps to using social media platforms. So what's your favorite social media platform for lead generation, or how does it work? How do different platforms work for different types of campaigns?
Sure. Um, we are working mainly for B2B businesses,
Hmm.
and sure, the first thing what comes into your mind is LinkedIn, or here
Right.
in this German-speaking part of Europe, it's Xing. It's similar to LinkedIn, a B2B platform where you can where you find professionals. This is, I think, is very important. But again, we we advise our clients to build up their own email lists, their own platform. So I think it's a good thing to use things like you can download, you can find you can find leads, you can find, let's say, you can find people which are fitting to the profile of your buyer personas, and
Right.
you can download. You can get in contact. You can get in contact on these social media platforms, you can download data from there. You can use this data. So I think social media is a good thing to build your own platform. And for sure, you can also use social media like Facebook now. You can upload your email addresses, and through this, you can target exactly messages to your to the people to your email addresses. So you can use it both ways.
Right.
Social media for us, social media, but it's much more important for content promotion. So we, in this whole process of lead generation, this first part is for us mainly it's content production, content strategy, content creation, and then for us very important is content promotion, to use social media to get a bigger reach
Right.
in your targeted audience. Yeah.
So as part of this process, if you're using Twitter or whatever for social media platforms, to a lot of people today, the whole hashtag thing is still kind of mysterious, right? It's what's with the hashtags? Why do I use hashtags? What's their effectiveness? So from your point of view, in lead generation, what role does the hashtag play?
I mean, generally, hashtags are good to keep information together. I see a lot of hashtags with events. I see a lot of hashtags with special subjects. So I think I have no data really available how efficient hashtags are working. We are using them mainly for events, but honestly, hashtags do not play a really big role in tactics or strategy we are developing for clients.
Yeah, well, we have just as an aside, I mean, we have found obviously as we're building up these online and these Twitter chats that branding them with the hashtag actually is quite an effective strategy. So hashtag SalesEU or other chat, hashtag sales chats, which takes place on a Friday. We found those pretty effective, but. So let's get down into some.
Let me just say one thing also as an explanation is that here in Europe and especially in Austria, Twitter doesn't have the same role like in the States. So I think altogether in Austria, Martin, maybe it's in Austria we have maybe, I don't know, 50,000 people who are regularly using Twitter. So it's a minority. It's really a minority. So people are more in Facebook. Even business people you can reach better in Facebook, like in Twitter. So with all our clients, I think there's not one where Twitter plays really this major role from all the social media platforms. So it's much more LinkedIn or Xing they are using.
Which is a great reinforcement of what we were talking about at the very beginning, is as you build your buyer personas, I mean, part of that is knowing who your audience is and knowing where your audience is, right? And what platforms they're using, what tools they use, so you can meet them where they are. And obviously if they're not big Twitter users and you're executing lots of Twitter campaigns, well then you're misaligned, to say the least, right?
Yeah, and
so
even
let's talk.
Okay.
Sorry, go on.
No, I just wanted to.
I was going to say let's talk some tactics.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you, Martin. How about let's talk some tactics around inbound marketing and what you see as some of the best tactics that an organization can use to really execute a solid inbound marketing strategy.
It's quite simple. So I think the process or the methodology of inbound is quite simple. Sure, for every business and for every industry, there are different different subjects and different. But the main process and the main tactic is quite simple. The tactic is you need a platform, as we already said at the beginning, to attract your buyer personas. Then you need really good content. So content quality, I think, is very important, and the importance will grow in the future because more people are using inbound for lead generation. So you need a platform. You need very good content. You need very good content to attract, but you need also very good content for the lead generation itself. So you need good downloads. You need good video material. You need good checklists or whatever you offer them to get the email address. So what we basically want is we want the email address. And then the next thing is when you have the first contact, you have to use very smart lead nurturing. So I think it's most people will be offended if you call them immediately. So you really have to think about the buyer journey. What is the next step? So how do you guide your leads through the funnel? And we see it's not the funnel anymore. It's it's something weird. It's something. It's not this one direction. They are coming, going, getting back again, and coming again. It was through social media, but basically you have to provide information in the buyer journey, and then at the end, I think tactic. Maybe it's one of the most important thing. How you work together with sales,
Right.
how to integrate sales, because what does it help if you have a bunch of leads and your salespeople don't know what to do with them? I think from the tactics, it's beginning with content. Then this whole thing of smart lead nurturing, smart workflows, smart support of the buyer journey, and at the end, smart integration of sales. At the end, you want to sell something.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that around the buyer journey, and obviously, the buyer journey has evolved and changed, and I think that's one of the hardest things when you talk about sales and marketing alignment. When you work with organizations, do you find that you have to maybe spend some time on educating or exploring how the buyer journey has changed and why you need to take a different approach? Like you just said, if somebody downloads something, you have to be careful about how you elegantly contact them, just without just diving straight in or kicking that over to sales as an immediate lead. So do you spend time working on some sales and marketing alignment or understanding how buyer journeys may have changed?
Definitely, I think this is one of the success factors. If you wanna be successful in online lead generation, digital lead generation, the best really is to begin to bring salespeople in from the beginning.
Right.
I think salespeople have to understand the whole inbound marketing process. How do we reach out to these people? And honestly, we also need them, the salespeople, because the salespeople normally they are closer to the clients than the marketing people. So marketing people many times don't know the clients. Salespeople, they know them. They really know them. And this knowledge is very important and very helpful for building the buyer personas. You need
Right.
them for building the buyer personas, and you also need them for the content. So they know what are the questions of your clients. They know it. So I think it's wise to bring them in at the beginning, and we do it. So we invite the salespeople in the whole planning process. So in planning workshops, we ask that salespeople are in there, and then it's so important to discuss with them about lead quality. So what is a marketing qualified lead? What categories? And also what information they need about a lead. So what is the information about it? Sometimes it's, and also how we should qualify them. So sometimes organizations, they have geographically organized sales. So they need geographic informations. So we have to know it when we are designing this lead nurturing process. So on this process, what kind of information should we gather so we can help sales to do the job much better. And I think salespeople should really listen to this whole thing, because there's a study I heard recently. Worldwide, there are about 4 million salespeople in B2B. I don't know what's the source of the study, but the study shows that until 2020, 1 million will lose the job, and this is because of this change behavior of people. They don't speak to sales anymore. They go on the internet and do their research. But the study also shows that salespeople who are starting to be a consultant more than just selling, this amount is growing. So there in the future we will see much more salespeople who understood that they are consulting, and they are much more. They start, so the whole sales process starts much before the old sales process.
Right. No, I love that idea of bringing in sales from the beginning, and sales and marketing really sitting down and understanding the whole process. And what you said is sales really helping define what kind of information is useful to them in qualifying a lead, so that they can act upon them. But that idea of really starting together in a collaborative environment, I think that's really important, because traditionally there's been such lines of demarcation. It's like, marketing do their thing, and at a certain point they transfer it over to sales, and in a kind of linear process. And I think that's what the buyer has now disrupted. It's the fact that there is no linear process anymore. Your marketing have to go further into the sales cycle. Salespeople have to understand more about marketing. The lines are blurring a bit. You've got to have that level of collaboration. So I really like that idea of them being in at the beginning, helping define. So you've mentioned content marketing a number of times during our discussion today, and obviously it's a really important part of lead generation today. So can you talk a little more about how you can leverage content, and is there a suggested process maybe for how to effectively leverage content and different types of content?
Yeah, sure. And this is not only what we find; it's also what studies are showing, is that the greatest challenge of content marketing is to produce content that converts. I think we all understand what it means, and it's so hard to find the right people to produce this content, because people normally who are good skilled in writing, journalists or something, they have learned something else. They have learned how to produce news. So all the journalism is about producing news, but we really don't need news. We need helpful content, educational content that converts. So it's quite a challenge. It's quite a challenge to find at the beginning. The first thing is, it's quite a challenge to find the right questions people are asking. You should, normally we think, when we speak with a client, we speak with salespeople, we speak with service people, we speak with customer care, and you think they should know what the questions are. But we have so many sessions with them where we find out, sorry, but this is not the right questions. It couldn't be that people are just asking for the price. There must be other things. I think when you look at the data, when you look at what Google provides, people are not only asking this question, what does X and Y cost? There are so many other things. So I think, so in the whole process, for us, it's very, very important to work very hard and also to use market research and what's available to find what are the questions buyer personas are asking on Google. So here in Austria, Google, I think, is more than 90%. So we just look at Google. We have some data from Google, but not all the data we are getting from Google. So we have to find out at the beginning what are the questions people are asking, and then it's quite simple when you know the questions. It's quite simple to find the right idea for a blog post, for a download or something. But then the next challenge is coming. You have to find the right people to produce it on a regular basis, not just one white paper. We need a white paper every month, or 2 white papers a month, or we need a blog post twice a week, or 4 blog posts a week. And we find it because this whole concept of content marketing here is quite new. It's for us quite a challenge to organize the right writer, the right journalists to produce the whole thing. We have started as a market agency to hire some people, but you cannot. Here at the beginning, you cannot hire all the people you need. So we're working with freelancers and a lot of energy myself. I am putting into educating the freelancers how to write the right content. And data is showing us it's all about quality. It's all about quality. You cannot cheat there. You cannot cheat there. If it's not a blog post that has a really magnetic headline, a really magnetic sub-headlines, a content that really solves problems, you won't see the conversion rates. And we are looking on conversion rates of 2% at the top of the funnel. So 2% of the visitors should give us their email address, please. So this is one of the challenges. You can do it. I don't say it's impossible, but I just want to show that's the challenge. And I see so many content. I think it's not content marketing projects. Content projects. They have high numbers of visitors. They have I don't know. They win prizes and things. So it's great blog and so on. But when I ask this one question, please show me your conversion rate, I don't get the good answers. And this is one thing I tell every client when I also speak with other agencies. And so I always say, just ask one question: show us your projects with good conversion rates.
So show us the money.
That's the thing. So I think content marketing is great. Content marketing, I think it will stay. We haven't reached the top, but I also say it's very challenging, but it's working. It's good. It's very, very good, and I think I would advise every company. And I think I haven't found. Maybe there are some companies who shouldn't do it, but for the most companies, I think this is the next step.
Right. So great advice again. Again, we're coming back to our buyer personas and understanding your buyers. So the starting point for content marketing is understand what your target buyer actually cares about, and then create content that really addresses those needs. And like you said, we almost have to, in organizations now, take the publishing paradigm and create editorial calendars and find the right people to produce the target high value content on a consistent basis. Because I agree with you, Martin. I think there's a lot of people who've heard content marketing and they think push content, push content, push content. But if you don't do it in a thoughtful and targeted and deliberate fashion, you're just adding noise as opposed to adding value. So yeah, I really like that concept of going back to your buyer persona again and really figuring out what content matters to them. Okay, again, just you're talking about conversion rates, which is it's a great metric, obviously, to track when it comes to content marketing. Around lead generation, what are some of the other metrics that maybe sales and marketing should be focusing on so that they can gauge that they are executing effective lead generation campaigns and activities?
Yeah. Sure. I think the two most important things is conversion rate from visits to leads. So we basically say 2% and up. This is something. This is a goal we have there. So the next thing is how many of the leads are turning up as clients. So we have the conversion rates between leads and clients, and this differs really very strong. So we see 1% to 50%. It really has to do with the industry, but it also has to do with the content. So at the beginning, if you get the right people in, your conversion rate is much higher. So we have basically these two main KPIs, but then there's a lot of others, because the thing is this: what are you doing if you don't get the 2% at the top? And what are you doing when you don't get the, I don't know, 5 or 10% of your clients, of your leads showing up as leads? But the good thing is, in all this digital marketing, you have a lot of data. So when we start at the top of the funnel, so what could be the problem and what data you could look if you don't have this 2% of conversion rate from visits to leads? One of the things we look at the beginning, is the percentage of organic traffic you get to your website. Because organic traffic is the best thing you can get, because people have asked the question, and if you answer the question with good content, the conversion rate is going up. So, and for me, it's also a basic assumption or a basic goal is there must be more than 50% organic lead on your website. If this is not the case, something is wrong. Your website basically is broken. Broken in the sense of SEO of Google. You have a problem. It could be a technical problem. It could be a lot of others. We can't go into this whole SEO thing, I think, now here. So when this is right, you can look at other things like the conversion rate of your call to action. Maybe green is not the right color, try the red color, or try a picture, or maybe you should write something more meaningful in the call to action, not just download this. So give a meaning there. The next thing is you can look at your landing page. What is the conversion rate of a landing page? A landing page has a conversion rate. How many people are getting to the landing page where the form is, and how many people are filling out the form and sending the form and coming to a thank you page? And here we see best practices is it should be more than 30%. Should fill it out and send it. If this is not the case, there's something wrong on your landing page. Maybe it's not attractive what you are offering the people. And then a lot of others. How many times a single piece of content? How many traffic has a single piece of content? So we can go into a lot of details there. Then we have leads. What are the KPIs there? There are other KPIs when we have leads is email opening rates, click-through rates, and you have set up a workflow, and you see after your third email, people are not opening anymore emails. So you should look at this third email. What is wrong there? Somehow you upset the people there on the third email. They don't want to see something in their inbox from your company anymore. So and then there's a lot of things also on the lead qualification and what you can look. So I think there are something between 10 and 20 important key performance indicators, data we are regularly tracking for our clients, and with this 10 to 20, I think the whole process you have it under control, and this is important. So you should really see on a dashboard or something like this where your process is broken. So you can quickly fix problems.
So it's all about test and measure and analyze each part of the process and really focus in on making sure that each piece, because like you just said, if one piece is broken, the whole thing kind of falls apart, doesn't it? The chain is broken.
You spoke the word chain. Yeah, it's a chain. And it's the weakest, how do you say in English, the weakest part of the chain. In this whole process, if something is not working well, if your landing page is boring, the whole lead generation process is broken.
Yeah. So what types of information does a company need to create an effective lead generation strategy, in your opinion?
When we start with them, they need, and all of these things are available in the companies. It's just sometimes it's not written down. It's not documented, right? So at the beginning, I think they should describe what is the ideal. How do you say in English? The ideal? No, the ideal? No.
Yeah, the ideal. Yeah.
The ideal. Sorry, sorry, my English. The ideal. The ideal client. What is the ideal client for us? What is the ideal client for us? How much revenue we expect a year? So the kind of market where we are in, competitors, things like this. And then now we have been speaking many times the description of these buyer personas, so that's very, very important. Then they should have a clear goal,
right?
A smart goal. It should be something like, okay, we want to have new revenue with online marketing, a number, €100,000 a month. How many clients do we need to get 100,000 new revenue into our pipeline? Okay, it's so many clients. Okay, when we have so many clients, how was your conversion rate from leads to clients in the past? Okay, it was 1%. Let's focus something new. Let's focus 5%. And then from this, how was the conversion rate visits to the leads in the past? Okay, it was 0 point something. We are aiming to 2%. So this is the kind of data we bring, and the important thing is to document the whole thing. So we bring this data together. Most of the time, data is available. Sometimes we need some market research or things like this. So normally in the workshop, 4 hours, when the right people in the room, we get all this data written down. We have a plan, we have a goal, we have numbers, and then we can set up the whole content marketing planning and the process and the setup. So it's not rocket science.
Yeah, well, a lot of these things tend to be, common sense. But like they say, the problem with common sense is it's just not that common.
Yeah.
And I love that idea about objectives, because that's the other thing. It's a lot of people don't have their target buyer persona identified, but they also start, say, well, we need to get into content marketing, or we need a lead generation strategy. but they don't actually have a defined objective. So I think those two things alone are worth their weight in gold, is defining your buyer persona and then having a defined and agreed objective for whatever strategy you're undertaking is absolutely critical. So let's talk again on a practical level. Let's talk about what are some of the common mistakes you see that people make when they're creating a lead generation strategy, or some of the pitfalls or obstacles or things that they stumble over along the way. So what can you identify some of those so maybe our audience can look to avoid them?
Sure, we just have to go through this process again. And I think at the beginning, one of the biggest failures is not to boil down your goals into real numbers. So you have to have a goal in numbers, as we say, okay, we need 50 more leads, and these leads should have this quality. This is the quality of leads we are looking. If you don't have this goal, you will never reach it. So how can you know that? So the first thing I think is not having a smart goal, not having goals in numbers. So it's the first failure, because then and many times we see projects they make good content and things, but if you don't have clear goals, that's the whole thing. The next thing is, I think it's basically already what we spoke, is to start without buyer personas. It's sometimes clients will say, oh, all this theoretical exercises, let's go and do something. And we say, let's stop. It's 2 hours. Let's give us 2 hours, or let's have another morning where we discuss this buyer personas. And as we already said, without these buyer personas, it's not easy really to brief a journalist how to write this piece of content. So you need this thing. Then I think the biggest problem, I always say the biggest problem. I think all problems, as you said, it's in the chain. They are all equal. They're equal, but an obvious problem is the quality of content. That's an obvious problem. You go on the website, and they have all kind of contents there. So they have something about this new product, and they have this event, and then they have something happens international, some trends, and a mixture of everything. But not a single piece is a piece where your buyer persona could learn something for their job. So this is really I would really focus on this. You have to have good content, good quality of content. The next thing is people are telling us we don't get any leads. So we look at the website, there is no call to action. You have one call to action. This is this contact thing. So people can go there and say, can contact us. It's the only call to action they have. Maybe they have 200 pages on their website, but this is the only, from this 200, it's the only page where somebody could get in contact with them. And if you ask them how many leads do you get, or how many people are filling out your contact form in month, they have to admit maybe 1 or 2.
Right.
And it's clear there's no reason to fill it out. What do I get there? I don't get anything if I fill this out. So no call to actions. This is a failure. And we advise our clients, every page, also the home page, has a call to action. Big discussion. Because many times design is so important, and this call to action does not fit into the design of the home page. It's nonsense. It's really nonsense. Every page, and also the home page has a call to action. So when we go further, it's the landing pages. Landing page has the form has 10 fields. They want to know everything, shoe number or something. They want to know. Just ask the name and the email address at the beginning. When the people come back, you can ask them something else. You
Right.
need short forms. No one wants to fill out the form with 10 fields. They don't like it. And then the quality of your download. Is it really unique? Is it something from Forrester or from all the other research companies, or is it something?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that you have invested time and money, and people feel it? They feel that is something unique. They have invested time and money. It's valuable. I want to have it, and this is when the conversion rate of the landing pages is coming up. Next thing we already spoke about is now they have a lead. Next thing is they call them immediately, half an hour
Yeah.
after they
Yeah.
have sent the form. They call them. This
Half
is
an hour. It's often half a minute
half
sometimes.
a minute sometimes. People hate it. They think about the customer journey. They are not there. They don't want to buy it, and they come on your website at the beginning. They want to get to know you. You have to think about customer. If normal your customer journey is 3 months, half a year, you have to wait. You have to be patient. You cannot just you destroy your. Here you also have what we find is. Normally, salespeople like the whole thing of lead generation, of digital marketing and online lead generation, and this is where we have to keep the salespeople out. If salespeople have access to the data, they immediately want to call because that's their success. Salespeople are not patient, so we have to make sure that salespeople only have access to leads who have been nurtured, where we say this is the right lead for the salespeople. You have to keep them out. This point of the process is where we keep the salespeople out because they normally they are not patient. They wanna just call. They are all hunters. Yeah. I think the last thing is sometimes I think failures could be if you don't use the data for analyzing and for optimizing the whole process. So
Right.
at the end of the whole thing, so you think you've done everything right, you've invested so much. Please use the data and not just monitor, but use it. Interpret. How do you say in English?
Yeah. Interpret the data. Yeah.
Interpret. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interpret the data and use the data to optimize the process. And you have always a reason to optimize. So you have 1.5% conversion rate. You should go for the 2%. When your 2% is 3% is the next goal on the conversion rate, and the conversion rate of a call to action. And if you have 30% conversion rate on the landing page, why not go to 50%? So the data is available, and I think nobody should say now we got it. The whole thing is working, the machine is running, and we can lean back. It will never be like this.
Right. No, I think those are great. I'd love some of those pieces of advice. What you said at the beginning about content is make sure that it's insightful and useful for your target buyer, rather than something that's mildly interesting or maybe not even interesting, or so not content for content's sake, but really good,
Yeah.
insightful, valuable content. The call to actions, like you said, is make it easy for your buyer. If it don't have them running around your website, having to work hard to find out a way of contacting you or whatever, and keeping forms small. Just making it easy. Don't overburden your target buyer,
Exactly.
and continue to look at the data and analyze it, and always be looking to improve. I think those are really good practical pieces of advice, Martin, that you've given the audience. So as we head towards the top of the hour, what are some of the tools that you use or that you recommend to your clients that you think can work really well or help with online lead generation?
Sure. I think tools are very important. There are so many steps we were speaking about. Without tools, it's really hard to do the whole thing, the whole monitoring and the whole automation thing. And we discussed the whole thing for a lot of time in our agency, and we were looking into different things. Finally, they make a decision for HubSpot. HubSpot is one of this marketing automation software vendors. The reason why we went for HubSpot is that I think for our clients here in Austria, when we speak here about big clients, for you guys in the States, it's mid-sized clients. For us, mid-sized is 50 to 250 people, employees. I think in your eyes, this is SME, it's small, medium enterprises.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think for us, mainly where we think our clients are is this mid-sized in our perspective. And I think HubSpot is fitting good here. So there are others, Eloqua, Marketo, so many other vendors. I think all of them are good for us. I think, and with HubSpot, we have used many other tools before, so social media monitoring tools and keyword analyzing tools and things like this. The good thing with HubSpot is you have everything on one platform.
Right.
So
you would recommend have a marketing automation tool, that's for sure.
Yeah,
obviously, if you're going to do content.
I would suggest if you're serious in lead generation, you need a marketing automation tool, and there's a market for it, and you just have to look what fits best for you and your clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with obviously with sales. I mean, if you're serious about sales, you need a sales a CRM or a sales automation tool. And obviously we'd recommend Pipeline or CRM.
Sure. I've been looking into it, and I think it's great. The visualization is really good. You're offering. And I think it could be a good combination, marketing automation and this sales CRM. Definitely, you're safe. This is the whole thing when we have the leads. The next step, what the salespeople are doing, and the salespeople also need a tool. They need a tool, and I think the big CRMs like Salesforce and so on. I just can say I really do not really know them very well. Just reaction from salespeople is they are so big. Sometimes I think it's for salespeople. They need something that's really made for salespeople.
I agree. What other tools do you recommend or do you use for lead generation, or would you recommend to clients?
Honestly, we don't have so much experience with others. There are email tools, Mailchimp and others. So basically, you can bring together a toolbox what's the same function has like this content or this automation with automation software like HubSpot has available. So basically, what you need an email marketing tool. You need email marketing. You need social monitor. For social monitor, there are some tools available like Hootsuite or things like this. BuzzSumo could be a good tool also for the content creation thing. We use also for the keyword analysis, keyword phrase analysis. We need keyword.io. Keyword.io. It's a handy tool, helps you to find the right keywords. But for us, most important is
Is
marketing automation.
is
Yeah.
the automation tool. Well, great, Martin. This has been fantastic. We've reached the top of the hour. So here's some of the takeaways that certainly I've gotten from this discussion today. It's again not to overstate this, because I don't think you can overstate it, but it's know your buyer, define your buyer persona, then have a clear defined set of objectives for your lead generation campaigns, and then measure those campaigns and always look to continuously improve in every area, and make sure that you identify where the weak links maybe in the chain are, fix those, but always be improving, have an objective, know who your buyer is. I think those are very practical pieces of advice that our audience can take away and utilize immediately. So thank you for your time today. This has been very, very insightful.
Thank you for inviting me, John. You wrapped it up very, very well. This is the important points. Martha, thank you for reaching out to me and inviting me. I'm so sorry you couldn't see my face, but now I have to go and find someone who can fix my my laptop computer and repair the camera. I don't know what's wrong there, but it was
next time.
Next time. So, still, thank you for inviting me. It was. For me, it also was a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye now. Bye.